Welcome to lab number 2. We're going to be building our very first vSAN cluster. For this lab, we have a little bit of admin work to take care of first, starting out by reviewing the topology. So pause the video, take a look at the topology first before we continue on. Now that you're familiar with the topology, let's talk about actually accessing our environment. I've already logged into the student desktop, and I'm going to open up Chrome. From there, I'm going to click on Site A Systems. From there, I'm going to click on our vSphere client. I'm going to log with our administrator at vSphere.local account and the password, which is in the lab doc. I'm going to click on Login. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for us. I'm going to minimize this bottom part. You can see we've already added a bunch of hosts to the environment. For this lab, we need to build our first vSAN cluster. So I'm going to click on our home page and click on Host and Clusters. So I'm actually back up to our home page. Click on Home. So if you're seeing this view, we can come up here to the little hamburger drop-down menu, click on Inventory. Alternatively, we could click on Shortcuts. I'm going to click on Inventory. And then we go on to click on Hosts and Clusters. And that'll get us all to the same location, all to the same page. The first thing I want to do is right-click on our SA data center and click on New Cluster. This allows us to build a new cluster that we'll be adding vSAN services to. For the cluster name, I'll type in SA vSAN 01. So I'll type in the name SA-vSAN 01. Our location is the SA data center. And then I want to start enabling our services, our DRS service, our HA service, and our vSAN service. You'll notice by default, we automatically check the box to enable vSAN ESA. For this lab, we're going to be de-checking that or unselecting that for now. When we get to the end of this course in Module 15, we'll be enabling the box and building our very first vSAN ESA cluster. But for this lab, we're building a vSAN OSA cluster. So we're going to uncheck the box. And one thing to mention is because we're enabling HA, our HA heartbeats and our HA traffic will route across the vSAN network. And that's because if we have some kind of issue or some kind of outage with vSAN, we want to make sure they're aware of it versus having that traffic right across the management network. So if we did not enable vSAN HA, we'd be going across our management VM kernel ports. Because we have vSAN enabled, we're routing across our vSAN kernel ports. Underneath of that, I'm going to deselect manage all hosts in the cluster with a single image. If we deselect this, we're using VMware Update Manager for our updates. If we select it, we're using our vSphere Lifecycle Manager. And vSphere Lifecycle Manager is replacing VUM, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a future module. I'm then going to click on Next, and then click on Finish to start building our cluster. The next thing we need to do this cluster. And there's a couple different ways we can do it, but we're going to be using the quick start method to build out this vSAN cluster. If you remember back from the module, we can build it via the manual method, which is where we build everything ourselves. We configure the VM kernel ports, configure the disks, do that validation. Or alternatively, we can use the vSAN quick start method or the cluster quick start method. And that's what we'll be doing. It's a guided walkthrough process to make sure we build our vSAN cluster correctly the first time. So to start out, it's already selected the quick start menu. If for some reason it didn't auto-populate for you, we're going to click on our vSAN cluster, click on Configure, and then underneath the Configuration section, click on Quick Start. We can see under Cluster Basics that we have vSphere DRS, HA, and vSAN already added to this cluster. I'm going to click on Add to start adding our hosts. If this is a brand new environment where we hadn't already added our hosts, we could put the IP address or the FQDN, the fully qualified domain name, in to start adding those hosts. Because we've already added all of our hosts, I'm going to click on Existing Host and start selecting our host. And one thing to mention is that our hosts do need to be in maintenance mode to allow for this operation to complete, which you can see all of our hosts are already in maintenance mode. I'm going to click on hosts 1 through 4 and then click on Next. The host summary screen just allows us to see which hosts are we adding and which ESXi versions we are adding. For the model, we are using a nested ESXi environment, but in your production environment, it would most likely say some type of hardware vendor. I'm going to click on Next, where we can start reviewing our settings, making sure, yes, do we want to add these 4 hosts? Absolutely. We'll go and click on Finish, and that'll begin the configuration process for us. And this will just take a few moments to complete. If I bring our recent tasks back up, we can monitor the progress. It looks like the operation has completed. I'm going to go ahead and minimize our recent tasks. I'm going to go ahead and click on Configure so we can start building out this environment. And the very first window that pops up is our distributed switches. When we use Quick Start, it is assuming we want to use a distributed switch. If for some reason in your environment you'd rather use standard switches, we can click on the checkbox that says Configure Network Settings Later, and that'll allow us to use a VM kernel port or some alternative configurations. Following with the lab guide, we'll be using a distributed switch for this configuration. For the name, we'll be typing SA-VDS for our distributed switch. I'll then scroll down so we can start assigning our uplink to our adapter. You'll notice for our vMotion network and our vSAN network, it's already selected our SA-VDS distributed switch. So at the very bottom, we've got our adapter vmNIC3. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to use our distributed switch. From there, I'll click on Next. For vMotion traffic and for our storage traffic, we're just going to accept the defaults for this lab. But in your production environment, if we wanted to use IPv4 or IPv6, we could click on the dropdown. If we had a VLAN ID we wanted to assign, we can assign it a VLAN ID. Or if we wanted to assign it a static IP address, we can click on the dropdown to assign that IP address. I'm going to click on Next on our vMotion traffic, and I'm going to click Next on our storage traffic. For our advanced settings, we're not going to be changing the defaults for this particular lab, but in your production environment, if we know we want to have some advanced features, it makes the most sense to do it right now. Can we do it later? Absolutely. But while we don't have production data on there, we don't have people using it, application owners, developers, etc., it is so much easier to enable those settings right now. So for our vSAN options, we can change it from a single site deployment. This is our standard deployment that's inside of a single data center that supports anywhere from 3 nodes all the way up to 64 nodes. If you wanted data at rest encryption, which stores our data on the vSAN environment in an encrypted fashion, we can enable that. We've got data in transit encryption. This is encrypting the traffic as it flows across our network from one host to another host. We then have space efficiency. Space efficiency is do we want to have compression only, which we'll be talking about in a future module, or deduplication and compression, if you want to enable those settings. We then have our fault domains. And this course doesn't spend a lot of time talking about fault domains. We touch on it a little bit in the lecture material. But fault domains we can consider like rack awareness, where let's say we've got 3 racks in the environment. Our RAID 1 FTT of 1 policy requires a minimum of 3 fault domains. We typically say 3 ESXi hosts. So we've got ESXi host 1, ESXi host 2, and ESXi host 3. But when we have fault domains or explicit fault domains, we have rack 1, rack 2, and rack 3. And inside of those racks, we could put 2 hosts. And that allows us to have that redundancy in case we lost an entire rack. We're not going to be using that for this lesson, but if we did want it, we can enable it. One thing below that is RDMA support. vSAN does support RDMA, but because these are nested lab environments that doesn't have the right hardware, we don't have that option to enable it. So for this configuration, we're just sticking to the defaults, and we're going to click on Next. Second to last is our claim disks. vSAN does a really good job of picking which disks correspond with cache, which disks correspond with capacity, but it is not perfect. So if you want to verify this, we can click on the drop down to make sure that our capacity disks are the correct disks. I'm going to go and slide this over just a little bit. We can see that our 25 gig disks have been claimed for capacity. In our lab guide, it says verify that 2 25 gig SSDs are selected for capacity. If I scroll to the right just a little bit, we can see that SA-ESXi-02 has 2 disks, O3 has 2 disks, O4 and O1 also have 2 disks. So that part is correct. But let's take a look at our cache disk next. I'm going to click on the next page because we ran out of space on this one, but we can see we've got 4 hosts. Each has 1 disk associated with it. So vSAN has picked the correct disks for us. I'm going to click on Next, where we can then review the settings for our vSAN cluster. Once we're happy with those settings, we can click on Finish. Okay, so this will build out the vSAN cluster. That concludes this part of the lesson. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next part.